So it's a beautiful sunny day today, which seemed ideal conditions to come outside to talk about this month's Classic Film Club film, Roman Holiday. It's an Audrey Hepburn film, which is always a plus for me. I'm a big fan of hers, and it's actually one of the few that I hadn't seen before. The film starts out very much like a sort of traditional animated Disney movie, with the sort of princess running away from the castle, wanting to shirk her life of responsibility and live life as a common person, see what that's like. But it sort of rapidly became a more traditional Audrey Hepburn romantic story, which I love those anyway, so I was always going to enjoy that. But then I thought towards the end was when it really hit home. There's a couple of the final scenes. There's a scene where she returns back to the palace and she kind of talks to her staffers about responsibility, and she sort of dismisses them, and you can tell by the way her kind of presence has changed and her attitude has changed. There's been a lot of growth. A lot of these kind of films, there's an implied growth from like when the character's away and they're having to live sort of rough on the streets, but it's sometimes you kind of don't really get a feel for it, and it sort of seems a little bit hollow. But I thought with this film it really sort of struck home that not only has she changed in her attitude towards other people, but she's really come into her own as a woman. She's still got all of the kind of responsibility that she had before and kind of the ability to deal with that, but now she's also got this extra layer of like leadership and her own sort of feeling of self-worth. So I thought that was really important and really struck home. And the other scene was the sort of scene where she talks to the reporters. What I particularly liked about that was there was a lot of silent sections and a lot of sort of close-up facial shots. A lot of that, the conversation was like all subtext and going on in sort of micro expressions and things like that. And I thought those two scenes together really sort of carried home what made this one a cut above the rest in terms of sort of your standard romantic Audrey Hepburn movie. I think the only issue I had, and it wasn't really an issue, was the sort of financial side for the reporter was never really resolved. Like, it's clearly it's his motivation in the beginning is he needs to make this money because he's in a lot of debt, but over the course of the film he gradually accumulates more and more debt, and he ends the film. He owes his editor like a huge sum of money. He still owes 2 months' rent to his landlord, and he owes like his closest friend a considerable amount of money as well. And they never really tie that off in any way. I get that the romantic story is the important one, and that's just his motivation. But I feel like there possibly could have been a simple way of writing around that and figuring it out in the end. It's a tiny niggle, but it was something that bothered me a little bit. But no, other than that, I found it thoroughly enjoyable. I found it enjoyable as a romantic story. I find it enjoyable as like a prince and a pauper story. And yeah, just overall, lovely performances, nice, fun, romantic film.